Good morning, everybody. Today we will start with section 1, chapter 1, and we'll try to move through the sections in chapter 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. We're going to skip 5 and save that for chapter 10. It seems to match up better at that point. So really, what we're going to do here is discuss section 1, 1. Section 1.1 and really chapter 1 in general is mainly a foundations chapter for you guys in geometry. It goes over really a lot of the vocab that's kind of crucial to the study of geometry. So the first thing we need to talk about is a point. A point is just, a point. It has no direction. It has no size. It's simply just a placeholder. The next one we need to talk about is a line. And a line is going to go, it's going to be a one-dimensional figure, so it goes just left and right or up and down, and it goes off forever in both directions. A plane is a two-dimensional figure. Typically we'll represent it with kind of this parallelogram type of idea. And I drew these 3 different points in here to kind of distinguish that clearly these are not all on a line. And if you have 3 points that are not all on a line, then they make up a plane. The next thing we need to talk about is the term collinear. Collinear is going to mean that there are 2 points or multiple points that are on the same line. So let's say this is A and B. We would say A and B are collinear. And if you haven't done so at this point, please make sure to have your notebook out or some paper and a pencil or a pen, whatever you like taking notes with, as if we were actually in school and taking notes. You guys will be allowed to use this stuff on the quiz at the end of the day. All right, the next term we need to talk about is called coplanar. And let's say we've got, again, a plane. We've got point A, point B, and point C. We would say A, B, and C are coplanar points. All right, the next term we need to talk about is a segment or a line segment, some people might call it. A segment is simply a portion of a straight line in which there is a limited distance. So these points here mean that they stop at A and B, whereas before, remember, a line goes on forever. These segments are going to stop at point A and B, and we can label a segment with a straight line over the top of it without any arrows. This would be called segment AB, or you could do segment BA. The next thing we need to talk about is an endpoint. And an endpoint is simply going to be one of these points on the end. And an endpoint, so let's say this is C and D. So C and D would be endpoints of this segment here. Okay. The next thing we'll talk about is called a ray. A ray is going to be kind of half a line, half a segment, if you think about it that way. It's got one hard endpoint that stops, and then it's got one side that goes on forever. So we can label this as ray AB. And a ray is going to have the marking with an arrow on one side pointing to the end that has that arrow. Opposite rays are going to be 2 rays that share the same endpoint in the middle, or in other words, they would form a straight line. So let's say let's say this is R, let's say this is S, and let's say this is T. Then we would have RS, ray RS, and ray RT as opposite rays. Okay. The next thing we need to talk about is simply that through any 2 points, you can create a line. So if I just put random points here, okay? Random points, I can create exactly one line through them, okay? Also, if you have 2 lines that are not parallel, okay, then they will intersect exactly at one point. So if you've got 2 lines and they're not parallel, then the way they intersect, again, assume they're actually different lines, they'll intersect at a point. And that is really the big information from section 1. Really just kind of some foundational vocab. And I will make another video and talk to you guys in a couple minutes about section 2.